You're listening to Anything But Competitive by Geeks First, the show that brings trading card games to life with the latest news, reviews, and table talk. Here's your host, Jacob.
All right, greetings and welcome to whatever the heck I'm going to call this, because I actually don't know. It's not that I don't like the Anything But Competitive, but it seems that the focus has clearly changed in the world of Flesh and Blood. And today we have our esteemed fun friend and guest, Alex, with us. Alex, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I'm just hanging out, vibing, doing some stuff here. We're almost done with our Silver Age A to Z series over on my channel, so happy to be getting that all taken care of, and then we're moving on to more Silver Age stuff. So that's really what we're doing on my end.
I liked your attempt at harmony. I think you guys are getting pretty close on that on your common language in the morning years.
You're
banging that out
that
pretty good. So that's.
I'm telling you, I was like, as soon as we figured it out, we were like, oh, wait a minute, Nathan has to start the jingle, and then we're good. And that's exactly what happened. We found that out, and it worked. So.
Oh yeah. Now, for those that are tuning in today, on the heels of the FAB's, weekly cast where they talk about, stuff, there was kind of a topic that has been top of mind for a lot of folks, and that is Living Legend and Living Legend system and how heroes come and go. And there's some online discourse about Rune Blades, which, Alex, I know you love your Rune Blades.
I do love Rune Blade.
But apparently they are like the top bred winner of said, point distribution based on number of heroes that have LL'd. And I kind of wanted to touch a little bit on some of these because, frankly, it's not that it's a major, what's going on? This is crazy.
Right.
And no one's there. But from an outside perspective, you might think that this is wild, that this is even, kind of happening. And I do feel, I think I sent you a link. I'm actually going to try to see if I can find there it is. I see the reason I sent you the link is because I knew if I closed my browser later, I have thousands of tabs open and I was going to lose it. So this Reddit post by Hearing Acceptable 838 states the Living Legend points by class, the Rune Blades are taking the cake with 5,516. Followed closely by Guardians at about 4,200. I'm going to round here. I'm not going to read exact numbers. Illusionist is about 4,000. Ninja is about 3,300. And it progressively goes down from there, with the lowest being Necromancer at 325. Obviously, there's a good reason for that, which is Necromancer is only Gravy Bones, technically. 2, it's still within the 0.5, window. So really, he earned 600 points in the old system, so keep that in mind. And then as we go further down in this post, it talks about the average breakdown per class, and this is really what got me. I think this is what actually intrigued me. I don't care that Rune Blades have had 5,000 Living Legend points. I think that the more interesting component of this is the gentleman or person, he, she, them, that broke down the illusion. Like in this case, it says Illusionist, 4 heroes, which is an average of 1,000 points per those heroes. So that means that at least 4 Illusionists should have Living Legend. That is, I don't actually think the case. I think we have just 1?
Yeah, that is not the case. We've had 3 Illusionists Living Legend out of the 4 total that you could play.
So, and that's because before the system kind of came in, certain heroes like Starvo were able to accumulate a massive amount before the weekly checks, which also drug out, and some points were lost to time because of that, so to speak.
Yeah.
The next one, which is interesting, again, Rune Blades being the top here, 6 heroes at 919 points. So again, kind of a very interesting distribution. Keeps going all the way down. I'm just going to pick on the last 2 here because it's really funny. Mechanologist, my class, has 5 heroes at 313 points, and Brute has 5 heroes at 289 points. So when you start to average, or the laws of average across these, right, it gets really funny because there's this like theory of I guess this kind of gets into the bullet points that I sent you here. Understanding if I have a bullet point here called understanding as a sign of success. And really, I think when a hero reaches Living Legend, it's a marker to say that hero did good. Or the player base in general. There's some arguments here about the player base selectively picking the meta heroes, and then those meta heroes get played more, ergo they win more, which means they get points more. There's some like weird correlation there that I'm not sure how to explain better, but it seems that there is a negative, oh, Florian just went LL. People are really mad about that. But there are other heroes you can play, and as we've learned with Aurora went away, and Aurora will be coming back, theoretically. Prism went away, and Prism came back. There's a cyclical cycle to this. So, Alex, what do you have to say about the, I guess, understanding that winning Living Legend points is a sign of success? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does come to a section of success when it is, when you're seeing a hero eventually hit that Living Legend point, you are going to see that a lot of people have been playing it as of the recent meta. That's, obviously how they've been accruing their points. Currently, obviously, with the Living Legend numbers being created a little bit differently, it could very well just mean that it happened to be a good season for that hero. For instance, we know that Florian, for example, the most recently LL'd hero, Florian initially had Germinate banned for a little while, and nobody was playing Florian. Nobody was really playing that hero at all. But it wasn't until they created the next BNR list, in which they unbanned Germinate, did folks decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to go play Florian again. And therefore, the numbers rose up. So in situations like that, I mean, it's not always that the hero, or the class specifically, I guess, is overpowered. But we do know that based on the numbers, right, Runeblades and Illusionists, more specifically, if I were to pick on like two classes that I think are the best often, it's usually those. And we can see that because it seems that the initial kit that these heroes have is really good. Fleshing out a lot of these talented Illusionists, because we've never had a untalented Illusionist before. Yep. Fleshing out all those heroes, they have to have a really, really concise card pool in order for them to be effective. And so I feel like a lot of design space gets put into those kind of very specific heroes, kind of like how we see with Gravy Bones, for example, right? Yep. Gravy Bones has more LL points than both, on average, than Mechanologist and Brute has over the course of multiple 6 years.
Yeah, because Mechanologist came out in the second set, Brute came out in the first set. I mean, subsequently there were others, but they've had all this runway, and yet this one class seems to be leaps and bounds above the others, which is wild in many capacities. And I guess is a good point to put in. I have a note in here that says, your hero didn't die. They became part of FAB history and lore. And one of the things that I joke about with that is really, in my understanding, there's only been one hero that actually died in the game, and that's the Emperor. I don't think, I mean, I'm trying to think of other heroes that could have died, but like, I don't actually believe at this point from a lore capacity that anybody's been killed, all main characters. I mean, there's obviously pictures of people getting stabbed and other heroes, but the heroes themselves exist, which in a weird way, kind of like in Magic the Gathering, I'm going to tie this to like Planeswalkers. I feel like that's kind of another way that they can bring these people back, and kind of maybe there's this living legend of coming back and seeing the different epochs. I don't know how the right word is. Epochs, time frames in which the hero existed in the world, and as the world evolves and goes up, you might have Dorinthia the strong, Dorinthia the iron will, Dorinthia the majestic, and then maybe Dorinthia goes to the dark side, Dorinthia the evil, and then Dorinthia the consumed or whatever, and then maybe she's Dorinthia that actually gets killed, and then at that point the hero no longer comes back in, but they've had 4, 5, 6, and then we get Hala is the new warrior, right? And Hala is come to save the day, and because they have their own IP, tying this into kind of a standalone component, they can literally do anything they want. You could become Alex, the connoisseur of the bat wings. I'm sorry, the ashen wings. The bat wings. Sorry. Oh gosh.
I mean, there's definitely always that opportunity to kind of have heroes, obviously we see them come back, right? If a hero hits Living Legend, it's not that it's outside of the realm of possibility that hero gets a new coat of paint and is put back onto the shelves. I mean, the most significant thing we can even see is things like heroes like Prism, heroes like KO, heroes like Kasai. All of these are heroes that we've had for a long time. Prism, Sculptor of Arclight, LL'd in CC, and was effectively replaced a few sets later by Prism, Awakener of Soul, which is still the same Light Illusionist, so your card pool hasn't changed. The only difference is that the hero text is now different, and you have a different weapon compared to what you were doing now. And so you see that often with a lot of these heroes, in which it is you're strictly set up with, you have an initial way that hero is played, and then sometimes that hero ends up being really good in the meta. They win a lot of events. We even have more events now as Flesh and Bloods continue to grow. So at this point, like, the opportunity for heroes to get more and more points is higher. So correct. It's not to say that it's going to be like, okay, like Living Legends it, right? Like, the odds of you being able to utilize your hero's card pool in other means is still very much viable.
No, I do want to, this is a great interjection point. Two things. One, are you going to be the subscriber that puts me at 700 subscribers, because I'm at 699 and I need that to go to 700. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, and get me over that threshold. Pretty please.
Do the thing. Do the thing.
Yeah. So now that I got that hyper thing out of the way, because boy, I'll tell you, the last two videos did really well. So I need to do more of those style. We enjoy these, kind of videos, and I may actually split this one in half, because I've kind of discovered that about 30 minutes seems to be a good, timing for some reason. I don't know. It's like people don't want to watch hour-long podcasts anymore. I don't know. I have no idea why. So I might give that a try and see if I split it in half and do part one, part two. But anyways, if I don't, it might be all in one. So we'll still see. But the second thing here is the heroes. Oh God, I derailed myself. Look at that. This is what happens when you get old, folks.
Oh God.
Your brain goes, I have an idea, and then goes, bleh. So we had Living Legend, we had heroes. I got excited about the subscriber. Okay, so where the next part of this goes is with the different formats. Sage is going to be controlled a little bit different than Living Legend, and Sage currently is going to be a voting system, and we are right at the cusp of getting a bunch of new cards that are coming out. And I think I've said this before, but and you've said this too. I actually Nathan, I think, is his name, right? Nathan Goldbrew.
Yep.
Yeah. He said, all of us are saying this. Dice Commando said it. A single common or a single rare can literally flip an entire class on its head. It doesn't have to be a majestic.
That's very
it doesn't
true.
have to be. I mean, technically, even a token. Like, look at the token that Hala just gave. That's a very interesting. I mean, apparently now Bolton is meta, right? Like, that's what everybody's saying, because it can be.
Listen, Bolton. Anytime any warrior card is printed, Bolton players go, "We're so back." Okay, so it happens no matter what. I always hope that Bolton players get exactly what they want anytime new cards are printed. I think this is a tool Bolton can certainly use, because swinging Raiden twice sounds really sick, because you don't have to pay any resources for the card. So it's like swing, you send 6 damage. That's pretty good, but you still have to do the thing to make the flurry, and that's a whole other side quest that warriors are going to have to go on. So.
Sure. And with the next set coming out, Compendium of Wraith, there's going to be a kind of a question. The idea came back, by the way. It just it popped right back in. It's here. I have a feeling, this is a personal hunch, that there is some strategicness to also, if you think about it, FAB does the 3 sets per year, or 4-ish, depending on how you look at it. And they've injected hero each time, right? Well, now that we have the stack of heroes, right, we have the roster of 50-ish, 60-ish total heroes, give or take, in Classic Constructed, a little bit more in Sage, and a little bit even more in what formerly was Blitz /UPF. But by taking one chunk of time off, they allow the herd to thin, right? These points are being played with people. They get to do a reprint set which satisfies the player capacity, not so much the collectors, which we'll get to at some point. But I think that this is both a good and a strategic thing to also help thin the herd, but then allow, because we don't even know if we're going to get a new hero. Like there's speculation of like a new Blaze, I think is one, or there's speculation of like a young Hala inside of this, right? Because Hala is coming out as an armory deck. So unless it's in the next set, maybe there might be something. Terra is another one that we've not seen. I think an adult of, but we've seen the young.
Yeah,
right?
we haven't seen an adult Terra yet. That's right. Yeah.
So there's a couple of, how does Shiana play in? How does the Emperor play in? Are the Genus what you need? There's only one merchant. Right. So are we abandoning other things? Bard, right? Is Bard going to exist? Professor Teklovossen. There's so many heroes. Yoji, does that technically, is he playable or is he out?
No, he's a Majestic.
Like, there are several individuals that I am curious how they may or may not be rolled in as a token or a rare hero or a basic hero, just to allow them to be played. Because right now, mum's the word. As of Thursday, 1:22 at almost 10 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time, we don't know shit about anything. And we are actively waiting for everything to basically be the, final... I don't know the what things are going to be, because I know you're going to scramble, I'm going to scramble, everyone's going to be like hair's on fire the moment stuff drops. And I heard, right, isn't that from what James White said, by the end of this month. So we technically have like 7 or 8 days until that happens, and
should be about a week. I would even go as far as to say we will find out about it technically here in the States on the 30th, because it'll be the 31st for New Zealand, right?
That is correct.
So I would imagine that's probably what we're looking at, because it's a Friday, right? It's the Friday before the week before the event, so probably when we're going to see it. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out, and I think it's going to be. Personally, I'm not expecting any new heroes or any like heroes of different things, but I do think that we're definitely going to get a shakeup for a lot of heroes and hopefully some new fun tech for things too.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see what Mechnologist cards shake things up, because right now I think Puffin needs some help. Personal opinion. There's several heroes I think need some help. I've heard Betsy needs help. I'd like Olympia to get some help, although you've kind of shown that Olympia can do some pretty ridiculous things. So maybe Olympia doesn't need help.
Olympia's fine. Well, if we're talking Sage, right? Sage is one thing, right? I think that Silver Age, it's hard to say that any hero is just absolutely awful. Strictly because you have a 20 life health pool pretty much. So like if you draw your 4 good cards early enough, you can come back regardless. Because like whether you're Betsy or you're Bravo Flattering Showman, you're probably still running Boulder Drop and Pummel. And so whoever kind of sees that combo first is another individual to be like, okay, like, send it. So that is it's kind of the benefit of Sage. But as far as like help in Classic Constructed, I know Betsy and Olympia, many heroes, Puffin even, are probably due for some new stuff. And I know that luckily, we don't just have to worry about the Majestics that come out.
And that is something to also note, right? This Compendium of Wraith is the idea. Sage is the focus. We are still getting... there may even be a Fabled in this set. We don't know. But there is definitely Majestics. There are probably Legendaries. I know there's reprints of Fableds, which is actually, now we know all 3 of them. It's Heart, Eye, and Tropal, which congratulations. Thank you. I'm super excited to see that. They're all non-foil. So that's nice. We don't have to worry too terribly much about that. But, they are the newer art style. We've seen what happens with CNC, the new art style. People do enjoy that. So there might be some price differences there. I'll be curious to see how it turns out, but I would like to get one of the new versions of these cards. I think that they're not going to be as common as people might think they're going to be. I think in listening to your video, I think you kind of pointed this out too. it's that whole pool of cards that are within Compendium of the Antiquities pack. And people, have to realize there are multiple Majestics, multiple Rares, and multiple Fabled / Legendaries. And it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio. Thank you. Oh, that's
correct.
Water. I almost spilled that all over my keyboard. I thought she handed me a cup of ice, and I was like, oh, no.
I see.
It had full of water. I limp-wristed it because I thought it was like just ice. Nope, I was wrong.
I see. Oh, wait, no.
Well, now it's a good time to pivot, as in we're going to talk about point number 2 here, which is if your hero gets Living Legend, you can pivot within the same class. Now, I can talk specifically about how I did this within the Mechanologist class, because a good example is, Dash IE was around for a while and then went yeet. Then I tried Dash IO, then I've tried Teklovasen, and I've tried Max, and now I've landed on Puffin because Dash is still good and does Dash things. But the other two heroes, Max and Teklovasen, in my humble opinion, at least in my play groups and the circles we're in, they do not seem like they function very well. Heck, even Puffin struggles into, I was just asking the other day in the Purple Discord, I literally am getting wiped by assassins and ninjas, the go-wides and these tricky things. There doesn't seem to be tools that I have access to do that. And there is a yin-yang, rock, paper, lizard, scissors, spot kind of a thing with a lot of these classes. But, pivoting within your class allows you to basically check out other heroes and see what it is. And most of the cards I already own, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's the perk. That's the kind of perk, is if you do ever see that your hero is going to Living Legend, or you have a feeling that's very close to doing so, it's not a situation in which it's like, okay, you should sell everything about that class and just completely pivot to something else. Odds are, especially with the rate at which heroes are receiving Living Legend points, you probably have another hero in that class that you can pivot to. And that's kind of the perk of it. Sure, their game plan style might not be the same, because like playing Max is not the same as playing Dio, right? For example,
Very true.
But there is, at least if you like the aesthetic of the class, or you like the general mechanic, right? If you're a big fan of boost, or you're a big fan of the steampunk stuff and the cranks and all the items and everything, being kind of ready for any situation you're in with all the different slew of items you have available, each it works out to your best. But it's definitely not it's not a good idea to just like sell everything and be like, okay, I have to go try another meta hero. Just see if another hero in that class sticks with you.
I will make one suggestion, by the way, here to FAB TCG directly, FAB TCG.com. While I certainly love your new hero, flashy hero finder, dear God, what happened to the traditional who has the most Living Legend points? I have to go to Fabrary now, because Fabrary seems to be the only person that's keeping track of the Living Legend points.
It's in okay, so oddly enough, if you hover over events at the top of the page, it's under events, and then there's a Living Legend section.
Oh my God, am I that dumb? I might be that dumb. All right. Thanks, Flesh and Blood. You are the best.
You do not need to respond. You don't need to respond to any of that. Jacob is sorry for the things that he had said, and is writing his formal apology to James White specifically right now at this moment.
As my PR person, thank you, Alex, for appreciate you very much. I thank you so much. And on to the next topic. Looks like I was actually trying to figure out who had the most Living Legend points for the next conversation topic. It is interesting because I swear that used to be under heroes, but maybe it was under events. I don't know.
It did used to be under heroes.
Okay.
It is not anymore, though. They've changed that.
I shall spend my weekend exploring the wonderful world of the FAB TCG site and try to remember where all the nuggets of information have moved. Oh, golly. All right. So KO, Armed and Dangerous, is now the top one at 912 points as of this moment, because Florian just crossed the magic line. Now, kind of, again, this goes into the whole points that we're talking about here, but looking to try to, point 3 here is reuse your collection and rebuild your collection.
Right.
It's been known for a very long time, generics are pretty much a go-to for every class. Even my Puffin deck is running, CNCs sometimes. I'm switching out between a couple of different other generics that I've been trying just to see how they function in the deck. Sink Belows, Fate for Scenes, those kind of things. And if you don't own these cards, I do highly recommend purchasing these cards, and they seem to be dropping by the day. So that's good for some of the higher tier ones, but some of the smaller ones, Pummels, Razor Reflexes, those kind of things, they've been reprinted a couple times, so they're kind of easier to get a hold of. And I think it's still good to have 3, 6, 9 copies of these cards, because if you have multiple decks, put 3 in this deck, put 3 in that deck, put 2 in your Blitz deck. I'm sorry, 2 in your Sage deck.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, apparently isn't Sage, or I'm sorry, Blitz is Singleton, right? So
yeah, so you have to put 1 copy in your Blitz.
So I guess if you did have 9 copies, it's 2 CC decks, 1 Sage deck, and then you have 1 left over for your Legacy Blitz deck. So yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Fun stuff. I will speak to specializations or things that tie to the hero, like anything that says like dash specialization or Katsu specialization. Those cards, I personally don't mind that those disappear, but at a certain point, I guess you do have to just know that some of these cards that are specific to a single hero, a la carte, the Viscerai specialization Fable, just go way down to the bottom of the barrel when obviously there's only one format that's even legal in. So there's also this layering effect now where we're going to start to see like, Silver Age cards are going to stack. So now it's legal in Silver Age, it's legal in Living Legend, it's legal in CC and, UPF. So there might be a higher value for that card versus, one card that's only legal in Living Legend specifically. So I don't know. Anything else you want to add to that, Alex? It's kind of a...
No, I mean, like a lot of that when it comes down to like you're talking specifically about like specializations, right? That's probably the one thing that does not translate well, obviously, into another hero, right? You're talking like Germinate, for instance, for Florian. You can't play Germinate in Vincent, right? So like that not connected in that route. And the only other thing to also keep in mind is that like obviously the talents are different for a lot of these here too. While your core class cards are really what you should be like keeping your focus on, there the talent cards might switch, right? So for instance, Vincent is the only legal rune blade in Classic Constructed right now for that format, and that means that if you were playing a bunch of Florian and you only liked playing Florian, but you want to try another rune blade, you do have to go out and get Shadow cards for Vincent if you wanted to go ahead and try Vincent. But the good news is that if you really wanted to maybe take a break from Runeblade or maybe find something that's like slightly akin to it, you could find another Earth hero, right? Verdance is currently legal. You could also play other Earth heroes like Jarl that are available, but those would require you to purchase entire class, like core class cards, which are a lot more important to the shifting of heroes than talent cards in that scenario.
So I'm gonna switch topics to gym packs for just a second as a kind of a bonus thing here. Jarl, which originally came in a specific armory deck, the unique cards that were in there, some of them have been reprinted in gym pack, which is nice because if you can't find the deck itself, this is just a non-foil variation, but it means I can still play the hero. So now that I have this, I don't actually need to bust open the Jarl deck that I have over there, at least not at the moment, but there are other cards that I don't know if are 100% out there just yet. But it is neat to know that they are starting to put some of these more odd, obscure cards into these gym packs. And I think gym pack 4 was announced. It's going to have a pretty good legendary as one of the top hits, I thought, right?
Yep.
Which one was it? Crown of
Dominion.
Crown of Dominion, yeah. So kind of neat that they're doing that. I know that there's a whole... You did a good video on this, so kudos to you. I looked at several other people that were kind of talking on it. But the whole collector versus player versus, hybrid collector and player, there's kind of a whole topic that it maybe, after we get through this list, I do want to kind of go into a little bit and rehash some of the same things that you had said. But at the end of the day, am I mad that, I'm going to pull out a card I showed you, I think off camera first, but I got a PSA 9, not PSA, PCG 9, Mask of Momentum.
Yep.
Do I guess that I care that it's not a 9.5 or a 10? It's the original. I mean, it's from WTR. It's an unlimited. It's not a cold foil,
Right.
But they might come out with a new, cool, fancier color or artwork or variation or something. And as a person that tries to set collect, I don't mind that because that's the WTR version. The next one's going to be the whatever set that it's going to be in, the Gym Pack 9 version. And
right.
At a certain point, the game's going to grow big enough to where there's not enough of these old products. I mean, I don't know about your location out there, but our stores out here, at least the ones that I frequent, I cannot speak to every store, but they don't have WTR sitting on the shelf. They don't have Arcane Rising or Crucible sitting on a shelf. They might have History Pack.
Oh, yeah.
And History Pack does have some of these cards and White Border, but they don't have access to some of these cards. I think the oldest that the LGS we have goes back to at so they have Super Slam. I know they have High Seas still. They got Outsiders. I think they have some Monarch, but they might even have Tails, but they don't really, they don't have Dynasty. They don't have Uprising. They don't have, there's a lot of other, I don't think they have Bright Lights. So there's several sets that they don't have. And over time, just, reprints, I think are good. And I think to echo/steal line that I think Nathan said is, why reprint something new if, the card that already came out in WTR is the right card? There's no sense in making 5 cards that have the same effect but different names, Blossom of Spring, and I think there's another card that's essentially Blossom of Spring.
Garland of Spring.
They made 2 of them.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing that very often unless there's a rarity level reason or something that would lock it to a certain format maybe, or lock it out of format. Outside of that, I mean, that's where the rarity shifts come in, I think. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so that was reuse and rebuild your collection. Topic number 4. Explore new playstyles. You touched on this earlier.
Yep.
I'm going to just let you roll with this because I'm horrible at discovering playstyles. I either go hyper aggro or I try to hyper turtle. I seem to not know how to mid-range.
I mean, and that's fine though. I think that's really the thing is that whenever you know what you want to play, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you know that when you sit down against your opponent, you know that you're okay, I much prefer a hyper aggro play style. I know people who play aggro just because they know their games are done in 25 minutes so they can go get food in between rounds. That is a big thing for a lot of people whenever they play aggro. But it's all about finding the play style. So if you enjoyed a hero's play style, maybe it was board state, or maybe it was token creation, or maybe it was disruption in some way, right? Some kind of almost control-esque thing.
Sure.
All of those are available, and I think you could probably find that archetype if you're burying it down to quite literally just the triangle, right? Of aggro, mid-range, control.
Mm-hmm.
You could find that in any class, right? It does not matter. You can find it in any class. The best part is that you can you find that play style, you know what you like, and if you really like Syndra, but you can't play Syndra anymore because she keeps winning or something, you could instead then go, okay, well, what if I played, you could make a direct 1-to-1 and go play Fi, but Fi is also pretty up there on the Living Legend status.
Yep.
So maybe you don't want to play Ninja anymore. Maybe you'd like to add a little bit of disruption into your play style, but still go wide. You can do that with Slippy, right? You can do that with Slippy. If you wanted to do combo-oriented stuff that kind of cares more about tutoring things, you can do Katsu. That's also a ninja, but you could even do, shoot. Max, the Hype Nitro, even is probably like you could do some aggro stuff with him too. So there's value in kind of knowing what you initially want to play. Can you guarantee the exact same play style? Well, like probably not. You know, if you enjoyed Viscerai when Viscerai was legal, and going super wide and making a whole bunch of rune chants every single time you played an attack action, that is not something that exists specifically in other rune blades, but you still are sending some kind of split damage when you're playing a rune blade. You're still doing rune chant generation or some form of arcane and physical in that same realm, and that is akin to almost the same strategy. But if it's more so you like the aggro portion of playing Viscerai and not the rune chant portion of playing Viscerai, then you might want to try out something like Ninja. You might want to try out something like Mechanologist. There's a ton of different options available. And I think that's really what it comes down to is just kind of knowing what your play style is and what you're comfortable with. Because let me tell you, switching from like hyper fatigue to trying to play aggro, it's not like you're turning off your brain and you're like, okay, I'm just putting down my cards on the table and I'm going to play the hero. Like, that's not at all what it's like. There's still sequencing involved, and when do you keep cards for what, and so on and so forth. But I think it's really just about experimentation. And honestly, Sage is going to help everybody a lot with more of that. Like, just being able to be like, oh, I did want to try this hero to see if they're like how they might work in Classic Constructed. How are they in Sage? And you can kind of get the same feel for that.
I am running out of time on. There's a couple of marvels now that you've kind of sparked my brain here. I probably need to look at getting before they go crazy. I mean, some of them have already gone crazy, but that kind of gets into the collector aspect of it. Is I have a feeling that some of these cards I've earmarked for things I'd like to get. I have a feeling that they are quickly or fairly quickly going to start disappearing from the market. And I was doing an experiment specifically with the amulets to see how many might exist, and I'm starting to see those disappear from the market. So it's kind of interesting to see where things are going, because that is a possibility that there is some combination or some card that will react with these and create some cool play style that people will be all for. So let's see here. So we talked a little bit about the Living Legend format. That is one of the formats that's out there. And when the hero does hit that magical LL, that's where they go. And they did release 2 Armory decks, so LSS does seem committed to supporting that format in the form of Viscerai and Chain.
I wouldn't entirely know if I'd say they're committed to that format.
Oh, okay. Yin by yang. What's the opposite here?
They stopped it from being a competitive format. It's no longer a competitive format.
Are you sure it's not just temporary to boost Sage? Like, did they physically say it's nevermore? Nevermore.
They said it is just like Blitz now, where one time a year they will have a big event where at some point they'll bring out LL and they'll be like, let's just see what kind of crazy stuff people come up with for this event. But it is not anything that is going to be put into the competitive circuit anytime soon, from what I hear.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's not anything that's like, obviously you can play it, right? It's a format that's still very playable.
Sure.
But you're not going to see it at, you might see it at side events at like callings or at pro tours. You might see it at, obviously your local game store can still run Living Legend events if they really want to. But as far as like trying to, win a pro tour or win a calling or any of those things, you are more than likely not going to be playing LL. And also to your point there, every hero is legal in LL. So it's not so much so that like when a hero hits Living Legend, they then become legal in Living Legend. It's more so that this is just kind of a way for you to say like, oh gosh, all these cool cards that came out in 2026. I really wonder how old Prism would have dealt with all of
How
this
old
stuff now,
Dash
and
would,
like
yeah, my buddy
exactly
wants to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Yeah, there's just, I don't know. It's also one of those things, right, where if you have, in our case or my case, I'll go to one armory a week. I'd like to maybe go to more, but it's going to be hard to kind of plan around things. But if each armory only wants to play CC, or each armory wants to play CC and maybe, Sage, and they don't necessarily do an LL, it's really hard to get those games unless you're playing digitally on Talishar or have a friend you can sit down and jam those with, which I do have folks I can ask to play that. But at a certain point, from getting a point or saying that you won in a gym roulette, I don't know what stores are playing LL in my neck of the woods. Maybe that might not be
I would be surprised if any of them were. It's one of those things where right now Living Legend and Blitz are of the same vein as like what Commoner was, which is, do we have people who like the format? Can we get 4 people who like the format to show up a night, some random week, and do an event? And sure, like you could, but I think a lot of, especially when it comes to Living Legend, I think a lot of people who would want to play Living Legend would just also be fine playing Classic Constructed anyway. And most of the people who go to the armories are already wanting to play Classic Constructed. So it's kind of a wasted week. It was something that we saw a lot before the World Championship because a lot of people were preparing for the calling, which was Living Legend format. So we had a few armories out even here in Colorado that were doing like, every other week was Living Legend night, right? But attendance was super poor for those nights. And when it came to the pro quests that were happening that were also Living Legend, it also was poor attendance, which is why they eventually were like, you know what? Sounds like nobody really wants this right now. Totally fine. Put it under the radar for right now. People can play it casually if they want. And then when they deem that it's a good, healthy format to be played competitively, then they can go about doing that.
Makes sense. By the way, I have no idea why, but Amulet of Echoes is apparently some of the top selling cards, and it looks like 131 of them got sold within the last couple of I would say within a week and a half. So it's wild how Everfest gets crapped on so often as like a set that's no bueno. But now that one of these cards has done a thing, it's just interesting to see that rare is almost a $2 rare now.
Yeah. I mean, because nobody, if you're a new player who just got in after, heavy hitters, for example, you don't own a copy of Amulet of Echoes. It's never been meta relevant. Like, there was a time in which people thought that it was the way to beat Zen, but it wasn't doing anything for Zen. So it was like, okay, I guess it doesn't really matter. And then now we have, Acilio, who is kind of the big target for this. Acilio is the new Kano on the block, right?
I watched it happen at my armory. He was trying to bounce the card, and he's like, Amulet of Echoes. And it's like, mother.
Uh-huh. I'm telling you, it is literally insane. So that's what I'm saying is like, there are sometimes those tech cards get crazy. I know that was the same deal with Snag. Snag was although that's a Majestic, but Snag was, a $2 Majestic from Crucible War.
Snag went like this. Like, it went from 2 to 50 to 2 to 50 to 2. I don't know where it's at now, but I'm sure it's a lot less.
Well, it's probably less now because it got reprinted in Super Slam. So
let's see here. Snag. Oh, it's a $10 card. I mean, the original one. That's still respectable. Like, I'm not even like trying to poo on it, but there was a world in which that card used to be terribly. I mean, that looks like even 6 months ago it was like a $50, $40 card. So the fact that it went from 40 and dropped all the way down to 10 clearly reprints help. So that's nice.
Very true.
I am going to pick on the next thing here. I have it as emotional detachment, which is the real technology. Funny enough, you can get very attached to here. I know people that their whole identity is like my buddy is Kano. I pretty much still feel like I'm a Dash IE person because I grew up in Dash IE where I got to start with an item and my hero text box was blank. So even with some of the heroes I play today, it's really hard for me to recognize that I have a hero ability because I literally played the first probably 2 years where I just did not have to focus on that as a thing. I did everything else not caring I had a hero ability because I had nothing. It was start with an item and play. And that still weirdly hurts me today, but it is better than it was. So, you know, that's kind of where there was a phrase floating around, may not be politically correct anymore, I don't know, but it's, you know, marry your class, date your hero. And I still think that kind of maybe holds true. You know, I am married to the mechanologist class, but, you know, I'm dating all the heroes. You know, I'm going around and I'm seeing which ones, you know, seem to work. And then I'm picking, you know, the top 3 classes because at this point I can no longer keep up with every class. It's just almost impossible. So I'm like, hey, mechanologist is my main, ninja's my second, and warrior is my third, you know, as an example.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at with stuff. So like I'm going to focus on get all the mech cards, and maybe get all the ninja cards, and then probably get the warrior cards. But that's just my strategy with it. But that's kind of the thing I looked at is, you know, the heroes, they are going to come and go. You know, you talked about play styles. It is the theory of, is this an item centric or a, you know, do a combo, fire the pistol, do a combo, fire the pistol, and then put counters on things. Like Puffin is basically like the machine that does stuff. My current CC build is wildly different than what I originally had. And it is one of those things where I didn't think I could have this many cogs on the field. But I have had turns where I have had 6 cogs, or, you know, and then I go to the next turn and I have 5 cogs or 4 cogs. And it's just, it's harder to get the engine going, but once it's going, it's not bad as long as you keep feeding the engine. And I think that's kind of where FAB is going in general. They don't want the hero abilities to be a, aha, give me. They want you to have to work for the thing to get that. That's my opinion of it. But like, I don't know.
No, that sounds about right. I mean, that's kind of that's what they initially mentioned when, you know, they we were talking about their design philosophy back when the book burning happened, was that they wanted heroes to be more side quest relevant, or like they wanted to specifically have a quest that they went on in order for them to gain the power that they did. And I think that we see that often in a lot of heroes now. But you know, we also see that a miss of that in some, like Aurora, for example. There was not a quest there, period. There was nothing. It literally was just put lightning cards in your deck. That is what you need to do to play Aurora. And she LL'd incredibly quickly. And so it's like, that's kind of where it is. When you see that side quest hero, the side quest heroes tend to have a bit more, but like they do have their time in the sun whenever that does happen. But it's the quest, right? If another hero's quest is significantly easier to do than, and just requires them to play the game, then it is oftentimes considered the more powerful version of a hero.
I was going to probably say that the last thing on here is, you know, plan for the rotation of your hero. I think we've kind of covered that. There's really not much to kind of be said without beating a dead horse on it. And I think that kind of wraps up, at least in my head, the topic of how we... Well, I cannot spell DM Armada. D-M-A-R. I was trying to pull up a video he had so that I could reference something on it in a bit, but
I see.
You know, I don't have much more to really add in the respect of specifically the topic of how to cope with your heroes, you know, dipping out. But I would say that as we kind of progress, I will be real curious to see where things land, specifically around, you know, how this kind of lull in no new heroes impacts how many heroes exit in what timely fashion, because as we race to get closer and look at that, list of KO is really close, Prism and Fire within an arm's reach. So could we, in this 6-month season, see 4 more people fall off of the currently legal 36 heroes and go down to 32?
I mean, we very much could. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that, there's a pretty significant gap between some of these heroes and where they are now. Like, you take a look, like Arachne Slipped Through the Cracks was a hero that 2 seasons ago was like during high seas. Arachne Slipped Through the Cracks was easily one of the most terrifying decks in the meta. And they had the 0.5 multiplier, so whenever they won events, they didn't win a whole lot. They didn't get a lot of points. But they were winning events. They were taking down stuff. It was like the premier aggro deck to play, right up there with Syndra. It was pretty good. But then, Arachne or not Arachne specifically, but Assassins got Bonds of Agony banned, and now Arachne players don't seem to want to continue to determine to see whether or not Slip Through the Cracks has the same potential, even after the Armory deck. And so you take a look, they've only won 6 points since Super Slam. 6 points. And they're at 178 points. This means that you can play that hero for a really long time. But if that hero, for some reason, in this set, in this upcoming set, or the next set, or something, even if Bonds of Agony gets unbanned, or if some card comes out that's like a really good aggro card for Chaos Assassin specifically that this hero can run, I mean, we're looking at a large portion of those points going up, because the longer the years go on, the more points they'll eventually accrue. And right now, with the release of Pen, I'm pretty sure all of the heroes from the Hunted, Arachne Slipped Through Cracks, Marionette, Syndra, and Fang, are all at 1.0.
Yep.
Because it's been a year. So that is, we definitely are going to see quite a lapse, I would imagine, in heroes. I'd imagine we'd probably see like 2 LL by the time the next set comes out.
It will definitely also take some time to understand how this 0.51, 1.5 system impacts the longevity of heroes, because we're still too early to know how this really kind of works for newer heroes, right? The next couple people in the next set, they could be bangers and everyone plays them, but they still go real slow, like Gravy Bones, because, they only get at a half rate. So,
right.
So that's all that in a bag of tea. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the next fun topic, which is probably going to not take too long, because I don't want to hammer on it forever. But it's the collector versus player kind of conversation that's out there. And I wanted to start off by mentioning a video that DM Armada did titled, "I Am Worried About Flesh and Blood's Next Set." DM Armada has about 26,000 subscribers. The video came out about 8 days ago. It has 6,000-ish views and 118 comments, which is super interesting engagement, in my opinion, compared to stuff like, I get like 1 comment on a video on average, which shocks me. I figured people would talk more, but they don't. At least not on my videos. But listening or looking through these comments here and seeing the people talk about, their allocation concerns and whatnot, I think that there have been certain people that have framed this with a concern being that if this set is not printed into the ground, that it's bad and that we will see problems. But I kind of want to go back to what happened with High Seas. I don't know how it was with your area, but High Seas initially was hard as hell to get out here.
Yep.
It just was unobtainium, very hard to get. Then seems like more came and more came and more came. And now, if I want to buy High Seas, there's boxes on the shelf. You can still get the magical gold pack as you choose and see fit. And I think that that's critical for a couple of factors. It tells me that even the print run that they did to put those special injection cards in, because that was the big reason why that set was so hyped. The hyper demand was the big players focusing on trying to obtain those one of one kind of cards. And as it has gone forward, some of those have been pulled, some haven't. But it means that the set still remains. There are still cards that are available. But looking at like sets like Mistvale, all the heroes have hit Living Legend. I don't even know if there are, outside of select few cards, I don't really know if there are cards that are terribly sought after, so I don't see that pack selling at our LGS very often outside of the Marvels. I mean, hell, the Fabled is $13. Holy crap, that is cheap. I mean, the new Marvel is more expensive at like $100, but the rest of these cards, like the legendaries, are $5. That legendary is $10. There's some $20 cards. But it's going the way of the famous Tales of Aria Unlimited box that's been in my background for God knows how long, right? It's... I don't know how to frame this without sounding like a butthead, but at a certain point, unless these mystic talents get added to somebody else, they're locked to heroes that are only going to be valid in formats like Sage, Living Legend. They're not in CC. And then all of a sudden, they become super relevant again when that happens, which we've seen time and time again. So if you're smart about it, people tend to buy off, right? Right now is the time to buy Mystic cards because they're not popular.
Yeah. I mean, that's entirely it. I mean, that's when it comes to... I mean, kind of like without like diverting too far from the topic that was initially brought up, right? Is like, it is important to know that allocation is important. It is an important thing. High Seas was hard for us to get initially. I think every box within the general Colorado, Denver area, even further on out, was bought out before Nats even happened.
Oh wow!
And then Nats happened, and everybody was scrambling to open up boxes at Nats. They caused this whole thing with issues of, you were only able to allocate. I know I'm pretty sure I brought this up on a different episode of these things, but at Nats you were only able to get like 8 packs of High Seas if you were at the prize wall. You couldn't get any more. It was tied to your gem account. They wouldn't let you get any more. People were selling off Japanese boxes of High Seas, which sold for significantly less than a regular box, but you got less cards. They were in Japanese, so if you didn't know what the cards were, didn't matter. And you got less cards in it, but like the pull rates were like a little bit more like better because you weren't dealing with draft, because Japanese booster sets are designed without draft in mind. So it's just like the cards. And so because of that, I mean, people were opening. I have never seen more Japanese product open up in person a day in my life than at U.S. Nationals, because it was just like so much. People were people needed the cards. That was the issue with the allocation.
I remember.
Not so much that people were chasing for these like gold packs, although it was nice to get if you were able to buy a box. But people saw how well Gravy worked. People have been wanting to play Necromancer for a long time. A lot of people saw Puffin and went, Pirate Mechanologist, that sounds crazy. I would love to get into that. And they just buy. And people were buying a bunch of boxes because they knew that back home, there was nothing, right? People didn't have anything. So, I mean, that's kind of the issue with allocation, is that if people want to play a class or like the hot new thing, and that hot new thing, you either have to get singles for it, which is the smarter move, but even the LGSs aren't getting enough product to sell you singles. So at that point, everybody is in a drought. And if everybody's in a drought, how are you going to get your cards? And that's where people are out here, they're making poor financial decisions, just buying boxes left and right because they're like, if I buy the box, odds are I just get it. Worst case scenario, I can sell the cards in the box because I might not need those things and other people do.
Do you want to see my $15 worth of packs I bought from my LGS?
Yeah.
This was 3 packs that I bought. It was 3 hunted packs. And out of all the stuff in here.
Oh, you know what? I think you told me about this.
I got a single Majestic.
Oh, no, never mind. Different person.
This was basically $15 to get Warcry of Thinnus.
Yep.
And clearly that's not a $15 card. So while I did support my LGS, I also realized that doesn't yield me anything super interesting. Conversely, we'll come back to this in a minute. We could have super fun with things like Unfinity, which is a Magic set, but I hope FAB does a haha fun set like this. I can't wait for FAB to do an Unfinity set. But anyways,
it'd be interesting
to really go back onto the whole collector and player aspect and reprinting and where things have had. There are some pretty staunch remarks I have heard on both sides of the table. I have seen some pretty heated conversations all around. And I would say that, the way to look at this is there are certain cards that inevitably are going to be worth more than others by the nature of what the card does. It's just how it works in any card game. Magic was this way. Yu-Gi-Oh was this way. FAB is this way. But it seems to be, and I'll pick on my Marvel Poly Cranker. I bought it for like $100. And Matt, my buddy, coined, I don't know if it's his term, but he coined to me the term, that's the buy it now or the play it now price. So I wanted to play that card now, and I paid the $100 for it. Well, now that card's worth $90. Okay, it lost money. But I've also played it in every armory since getting that card because I've played that hero. So what is that worth? What's the value of that played experience? Like, it's hard to put that into a dollar amount, but, without naming names, I know some individuals that were like, I spent X on these things and they are worth now X minus 50%. And it's like, yeah, that can happen. Like, that happened to me. That happened to me on a lot of things. But at the same time, I didn't own 700 of that thing that dropped by 50%. I owned 3 of them.
Right.
Oops. Like, okay, not a bad deal. So
exactly.
I feel for some of these people not terribly bad, but I know that there was a photo that was floating around of a person who had like a entire 2 or 3 pages worth of Eye of Ophidias. And I don't know if that person collected them. I don't know if that person speculated on them. I don't know what the whole story was. But when I showed another one of my friends, hey, Eye of Ophidia got reprinted. Hey, look at this photo I saw. It has a bunch of these. It boiled his blood. It was like, well, that's why it's so expensive right now is people like this person that are holding 20, 30, 40 copies of this card. Like, why do you need that many? I'm like, well, if he's a collector and enjoys it, like the person that collects the Marvel Betsy, right? There's no reason that person needs 300, 400, however many copies they are. But obviously they enjoy it. And if for whatever godforsaken reason that card ever goes into some absurd, heightened status, well, they're all gone because that person has them. But like, I'm not going to be mad because that person has been doing it for so long. It's like, as an example, if I were to say that you couldn't find any crack baubles on TCG Player anymore because I bought them all.
Yeah. I wouldn't be buying crack baubles of TCG Player anyway.
I can't say that over the years I have or haven't bought over 1,000 crack baubles on TCG Player. But what I'm saying is that, not a lot of people would give an absolute shit that I have 10,000 crack bubbles. Like, nobody cares.
It's fine. And that's the other thing too, right? Is like when it comes to Eye of Ophidia, I know this, and this might even be the same individual. So another local of ours, Tegan from hit YouTube channel Flesh and Bad. If you have not checked them out, go check them out.
Okay.
Tegan, who is usually the editor on the series, not actually the person playing most of the games. But Tegan's a big Kano enjoyer, and Tegan had let me know that they knew an individual who was collecting a bunch of rainbow foil Eye of Ophidias because they wanted to own 1% of all all rainbow foil Eye of Ophidias.
Okay.
And that was their goal, was 1% of all of the rainbow foil Eye of Ophidias they wanted. And they were only looking for 1%, right? It's whatever they were doing, right? But I think at the end of the day,
That's
like,
a lot.
if you are doing that because you like the card and it means a lot to you, and that's something that you are really going to cherish, and you never plan to sell any of that, that is different, right? Sure. Does it drive the price up when one person owns a decent percentage of the card? Yeah, right? Of course it does. But at the end of the day, there's also a reason why cards drop in price. You know, if you take a look at some of the cards that dropped in price over like $100, even like Heart of Fendel before the reprint was announced, dropped nearly $100 over the course of a year. Do you want to know why? Because nobody bought it. Nobody was buying it for $300, right? Nobody cared to buy it for that much. And so it dropped in price. That happens all the time.
Yeah,
is that if you have a card
about a year ago, and now it's $200.
Yeah, it's just not. It's going to be that way. And again, it's a secondary market. The secondary market doesn't care whether or not you purchased it at $300, you purchased it at $100, you purchased it at $500. It just knows that whatever you plan to do with it at the moment that you are looking at that card, you're either going to buy it, sell it, or keep it, right? Usually one of those three things. But if you are buying cards, this is the difference, right? This is my personal difference between somebody who I would consider a collector and somebody who I'd consider an investor in Flesh and Blood, is that if you purchased 1% of all Eye of Ophidias because you wanted to help control the market so you could make more money and drive the price up so you can sell them for more, that is an investor. If I decided that I wanted to go pick up literally a card, let's just, I don't know. Let's go, because I have this open right now. Let's look at freaking 12 Petal Kasaya, right? Ooh, okay. 12 Petal Kasaya, the Mystic Ninja chest piece from Part the Mistveil. This card by itself, the regular, no nonsense, basic version of the card in just rainbow foil, right? Because equipment's either going to come in the rainbow foil or it's going to come in the extended art, cold foil. The rainbow foil of this card is $5 for a legendary piece of equipment for Mystic Ninjas only that says whenever you transcend, you may gain a resource. And then at instant speed, you can pay a chi to destroy it to create a Zen state token, and then it also blocks for 2. This is a card that made Zen really, really good when they were legal in Classic Constructed. It is a card that makes Zen really, really good if you were to play them in, for instance, Living Legend. This is a card that has value and has had value in previous iterations. If they were ever to print a Mystic Ninja again, which
probably be a good
odds are very well could happen, this is a good card to have. So if I sat here and went, $5 for a legendary piece of equipment, I'm going to buy 20 of them. And then that way, when the new Ninja comes out for Mystic, I can then go ahead and say, well, I'll keep 1 copy for myself, maybe 1 for a collection, and then sell 18 copies because I decided to speculate on the market. That is investments. That is an investor mentality into this thing. If you like the art of 12-petaled Kasaya and you want to get every copy you possibly can and fill a whole binder of 12-petaled Kasaya because that is your favorite art, you're from your favorite artist, and it means so much to you because you played Zen when they were legal in the format, that is different. That is collecting. That is something you enjoy, right? You know, if somebody really enjoys the, Merciless Battle Axe, a weapon that warriors never played ever in their lives, like, that's what it is.
Collecting.
Yeah, the art pieces are good too. Like, those are
still
great things for
missing
collecting
some
too.
stupid cards. I'm still missing at least 2 of
you.
those. Which is why I need to
But
get
that's
some
what
of
I mean is,
see, he win. They win.
yeah, and it's like, because that's really what it is. I think that's the biggest issue right now is there's some people who, I feel bad for the individuals maybe who, like, for instance, I have a local who sold off all of his Magic stuff to another one of our local sellers out here, sold it to him, and was able to get enough money to buy one of every Fabled.
Okay.
And he was able to get a Fabled of everything, right? And he got it all set up and everything. And then we went to Worlds, and then we went to the keynote where we got to watch directly in front of us that Eye of Ophidia was getting reprinted.
Yeah.
After he had just spent all of his money on a copy of Eye of Ophidia. Now, does that suck to know that you could have gotten a cheaper version if you waited? Of course. But we can't all predict the future. We don't know what that's like. We can't just be like, oh, of course they're going to reprint non-foil Fableds like they've always done previously in all these other sets. Like, we would never know. You would never know. But my local would not. It's not like he was like, oh, okay, I'm going to sell all my Marvels, or I'm going to sell all my gems now, and I'll just buy the non-foil versions of them. Didn't matter to him, right? He got what he wanted, which are the original copies of the Fableds, and he enjoys having them for his decks. It was not a loss to him in his eyes that the cards that he purchased that he's wanted for a while might possibly drop in value, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to matter. And to anybody who's collecting, you shouldn't be worried about the value, the monetary value of your cards if you are collecting something that you are just truly passionate about. Because that's just it.
Speaking of collecting, if you know, this is Gem Pack 1. Apparently, we've only been able to find this check card from 1. If you know of the one from Gem Pack 2 and Gem Pack 3 and soon to be Gem Pack 4, I want these. I cannot, we have yet to find more of, I can't even find more than one of these. So I don't know if you have duplicates or any of those, but
I do not have duplicates. I do not have duplicates. I do have a Gem Pack 2 one, but I don't have a Gem Pack 1. I don't have a Gem Pack 3.
And I'm going to point out something that I learned. So these are the foil. This is a foil hunted, foil Rosetta, foil mastery pack. Apparently there's a foil high seas and a foil bright lights, but the only ways to get those is off of Prize Wall. So I need to find somebody to get those off of, because I don't know where the heck those are. Like, I've never seen somebody that had willingly purchased one of those. It seems like one of those cards that's just like, it's there, but you really just have to desire to want that. And I don't know who got those, but I heard that there are different heroes on each of them too. So you might actually, I might have. It's
effectively the at least for the high seas one, I think. Well, I guess it is the same for bright lights too. It's the pack art.
Yeah. So now I have 6 of those I got to track down that I had no idea even were a thing. And I'm like, where do I get them? Who has these? And, yeah. So.
But yeah.
Well, that's pretty much what I got. I mean, there are plenty of people talking about this. I think you've done a video. I think Clue has done some conversational pieces on this. I think I heard DM Armada talk about it in some regards. I'm talking about it. Your locals are probably the Discords, the Twitters, the Blue Skies, all these things. People are gonna, change is difficult for people to accept. And I think that the more I look at stuff, and I'm going to pick on this as an example, the more I look at how they are approaching things, right? This was a unique way to reprint something that Luminaris and Phantasmal Footsteps, they are different versions of the same card. So now you have the Pokemon good, better, best, idea. You could have one and then maybe another, and then the real fancy one. And we're seeing this with CNC. We've seen it with Rosetta Thorn is another one I can just think of off the top of my head. Teklovasen, Levia, they have variations that are highly sought out. The codexes, right? They were the Marvel codexes.
Yep.
So
it's just important to realize that we know what is not going to be reprinted, and it's going to be cold foils that were printed in a main set. Those are not going to be reprinted. Those are only available in cold foil in those specific sets based on the reprint policy that LSS has. And so like your Marvel Codex of Frailties,
yep.
your cold foil Heart of Fine dolls, your cold foil Phantasmal Footsteps, because like you think you sit there and go, okay, cool. Well, like, yeah, cold foil Phantasmal Footsteps exist, but then you have new Phantasmal Footsteps that you just showed off in that Light and Shadow set. And like, okay, that's obviously got to be the rarest version of the card, right? And it's like, well, like it could be rarer, but it's not cold foil. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
It's a rainbow foil card. So it's not cold foil, which means that they are still sticking to that, in which they're not reprinting cold foils. So when people are,
they're
talking
not printing
about
Christmas gifts anymore. Gosh.
Yeah.
What happened to the freaking Christmas stuff?
It's insane. I genuinely think that there are plenty of ways to collect in Flesh and Blood. And I think that a lot of people just need to kind of find the things they enjoy, and that's what they should collect. Some people prefer high-end collecting, and that's where, you can point them to the WTR stuff. You can point them to the Slingshot Iron Rot promos.
I should have bought one of those when I had the damn chance.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
I passed one up, and the only reason I didn't buy it is it's just like me getting the original lore book. I had an opportunity to get a lore book, and it was damaged. It would have had some weird lineage things anyways, but like I probably should have just bought that, because to this day I keep seeing a couple go for sale, but they feel like they're too much now compared to at the time. It wasn't that bad. So should have just,
things will go up.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Some collector pieces go up. If they're really rare, some will go up. I mean, you have again the Slingshot stuff, that'll go up. You have the original 2-player Ira Crimson Haze mat. That is a beginning of Flesh and Blood original owner collector piece that they gave to LGSs who like just started founding the game. You have the lore book, which obviously comes in
$800 right now is the average. Looks
LGS
like
packages.
And that Ira
bucks is crazy.
That Ira playmat, that was one of those other things that I had a chance to get one of those and I didn't. I bought a Rudy mat instead.
Can't believe it.
So
I
have a signed Rudy mat. Somebody somewhere thinks it's worth something. But I have one of those. I have a tablecloth from FAB. I got one of the LGS tablecloths, so that was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to what you like to collect, right? And at the end of the day, it's not about having to have all of the super old stuff that was there during the original iterations. You don't need like the test print Ira decks that they initially came out with no backing on them or anything of the sort there. It literally is just fine to collect, even if you just like collecting cold foil common equipment pieces. That's fine, right? That's a fine thing to collect. So I think a lot of people are just up in arms because they imagine that because of these reprints, they're going to be, their whole collection is in the dirt. But if you're really collecting, the ups and downs of the market. You probably bought multiple parts of your collection at more expensive points in your life than you were even able to afford at that point. And now you're sitting here complaining that the card didn't go up, but the reprint of it is going to go down. And now demand is going to go away. Like, you weren't going to sell the card anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, it's always something that's just like irks me, because it's just so many people who are like, yeah, I'm a collector, but I also want to make sure that I can sell everything in my portfolio for 10x profit by the time I'm ready to do so. And it needs to happen whenever I'm ready, because I apparently control the market. Like, that's not how things work. You are beholden to everything else. If you decide that if you have a huge medical bill and you need to sell all your Flesh and Blood cards to pay for a medical bill, the market is not going to be like, oh, well, of course everything is way expensive right now. Of course you get to make a ton of money. It doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Let me tell you about the U.S. medical system and my $75,000 MRI. Let me just tell you about all that.
Jesus
shit.
Christ!
Yeah. Oh, dude. I could bitch from here to the moon and back about. We have good health insurance, but the before medical cost, when I saw that number, I was like, "Are you effing kidding me?" Like,
and that's what I'm talking about. You could do better things with your money than put it into cardboard, because you need to be prepared for situations like that. And banking all of it into flammable pieces of cardboard is not a good thing to do. So I'm just always like, it always baffles me when people complain about the price of their cards, because if they're complaining about the price of their cards, it means that they probably don't have like a comfortable amount of money to where they can be like, okay, like, shoot, I guess my stuff dropped in value. Guess I can't pay my bills this month. Like, you gotta be smarter, people. Gotta be smarter. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Hey, no, you're all good. I'm willing to hear all sides, and I think I'm somewhere closer to the middle, and I'm fine with that. I collect, I play, I collect. I am really close to getting my HP1 set done, because that's apparently
nice.
That's something you don't hear people say. I collect History Pack 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Are you collecting History Pack 1, the white border, or are you collecting History Pack 1, the German stuff?
Eschenschlagen. That's E-Strike in German, apparently, or something.
It sure is.
I have. So, funny enough, I do want to at some point try and track down all of the FBB or Foreign Black Border history pack cards. I have most of the commons and rares, I think, from a couple different ones. I don't think I have the Italian ones, because those are like even shorter than the other ones. But finding people that have even just the bulk history pack black border cards, it's actually really hard. I don't know a lot of people that have those, so I'm still trying to track down some of those. Now, as a collector, I do oddly enough have some of those sealed, the black border boxes. So
nice. That
was one of those really early purchases from a verified vendor that I was like, I think they were selling them, and I was like, you know what, just for me to have, I would like to buy one of each. And I got one of each language, and they have been sitting in a box ever since. Those could have marvels in it. I have no idea, right? That's something that I don't even know where to find those. But if I could get an OG Dash Marvel, that would be great. I wish it was in English.
That'd be pretty cool.
That is the reason that I did it. As I said, that's my 4 lottery tickets to getting a Dash Marvel. Like, that was my thought. So, but with all that said, thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Don't light your cards on fire. Or, as I should say, Jake, don't eat your Phoenix Flames. So, fun fact, there's a person that we know that likes to, when they're playing, eat their Phoenix Flames. And I made the joke that I would donate 1,000 Phoenix Flames to him if I could videotape a live stream of him eating all 1,000 of these, as long as he would sign a disclaimer that says that if something happens, I don't have to pay the medical bill, because I really don't know what would happen if you ate 1,000 cards, but I would assume it is not good for your health. That is just...
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Eating their Phoenix, like physically eating their Phoenix Flames?
He has physically at the game store ate his Phoenix Flames, yes. 100%.
All, like multiple times this has happened?
This is not a one-off. This is a more than one occurrence. Yes, correct.
Well, I think a lot of bills should go to therapy. If that's the case, that's
we
probably
were
not.
we were even talking about like
Holy cow.
literally yesterday we were talking about making a meme, like if a spoiler card ever comes up, we would just have him sitting there on a couch with like a thing and just like going with a Wheaties bowl, eating this like a fucking Phoenix Flames out of a Wheaties bowl.
You should just make it anyway for the Phoenix Flame support they're giving you in Penn. That's
like,
crazy. Eating your don't eat cardboard.
don't
eat
cardboard. Don't eat cardboard, kids.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Just,
don't light it on fire. Don't eat it. Don't do any of these things. Okay.
I told him I could put it through a special paper shredder and make it more, like cat food, like more.
Make it more palatable, right? A little Phoenix Flame pate. You know what I'm saying? Just gotta build it together a little bit.
Phoenix Flame pate. Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, that's crazy! The craziest thing I've ever heard.
Do you want to end? Do you want to end on one interesting thing? Because I've been dying to see what's in this, and I figured you would get a kick out of it too.
Sure. Have you never opened Infinity before?
We've only opened a couple of these. The wife has opened one or two, and like I hear there's
a fun set.
There's like a sticker. So like this is what I thought was really funny. Yeah, there's a sticker card, and I guess you in the game of Magic you could take these, and I'm hopefully there's enough in focus, but like you can add these stickers and change the names. Like I can add Mox to it or change. So like there's a part of me that like hopes in some way. I've heard that there was like cards that have underscores so you could edit, do stuff, but it's just
you'll find one in there. You'll find one in there. There's almost certain
robot pinata.
And you can also just add effects to cards. Like you're able to add like vigilance to a card and just by like ripping off the sticker on that
coming attraction. Outer Wolf's advantage. So it's like some of these were funny because like looking at this, from the perspective of pink dice, Peril lost dice. Yeah, Gambler's gloves. It's Gambler's
Arrow
gloves.
Dice lost.
Excessive strength hammer. I got a rare.
What do you mean? There you go. So you got something fancy behind it.
Ooh, there's a.
Oh, that's the islands. Those are so good.
Tower drop.
Drop tower. These are your attractions.
Yeah, see, I hadn't really dug into these. This reminds me of the FAB, the special deck that they just made, the event deck for FAB. So I'm thinking that's. But it's just
an interesting thing.
Flavorful stuff.
It's definitely a funny thing when you get to play the Mind Goblin. That's when it's all about.
Mind Goblin?
Oh, Jacob, I can't. No, Jacob.
What? Am I not allowed to look at this?
Mind Goblin D's nuts.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jacob. Oh, buddy. I got you. I got you on camera. I got you on camera on your own channel. I can't believe I just did that. I'm going to post this on my channel now. I'm literally going to clip this shit, make it a short. You got Mind Goblin on your own channel. Crazy work.
I thought it was an actual card. I thought it was a card.
It is actually, which is the funny part.
But it didn't show up under Mind Goblin in TCG.
So it won't because it's an underscore goblin, and you can add the word mind in front of goblin to name it Mind Goblin.
Oh.
And that's the joke.
Okay, I gotcha. I
can't believe I got you. That's crazy. Hey, crazy end of the episode. Let's go.
I gotta learn to be more cautious on my advice I'm taking from strangers of all things. God, look at it. All right.
Oh no.
Now I gotta track this card down and see if I can find one and buy one just so I could have it in the background. I'll have to.
It is important to have if you want to display a card from Magic the Gathering.
Do I have?
That's it.
I only have a Mox though. I only have Spooky, and I have an egg.
Yeah. You'll have to get a sticker.
I wonder if anybody has taken these. Like that was the original thought. Was like I want to take this and I want to put like stickers on like the OG like Power 9 or OG Mox cards. Like, just like.
I don't know if they've done all that, but I mean theoretically you could.
Just, like instead of Ancestral Recall, just be like Mox Recall. Like just
Right.
Let's do that.
I mean, you can.
This
You
is
can
a
do
this
that.
is a fake one, by the way. It has.
I knew full well it was, but
there's-
I could only imagine anybody watching right now being like, "Did you just put a sticker on it? It says a recall. What is happening?"
It was actually when the LGS that was near me went out of business. The old store. He had some of these that were like pinned. Like I think there's a little pinhole you can probably see in it, but he had these pinned to his wall. He had this one, and he had this like Blastoise that has multiple pins in it. But these were like good, but like I mean, I say good, but this one I can clearly tell is a fake. This one to me looked a lot more real. It just really beat up. But like it was interesting to see. He used to have a bunch of these like fake cards, and when they were getting shut down, it's like they were throwing them away, and I'm like, well, I'll keep it as an education piece. Like, I might as well. And they've been sitting in the background ever since. And it's just like, whatever. So
that's funny.
But all right. Well, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody. So like, share, subscribe, and don't mind that goblin because apparently that's bad news. So.
Oh my God, I'm the best. The best.
All right. You know where to find me, Alex. They know where to find you, right?
Yep, Ashen Wings TCG. That's where I am. We're in the pen waiting room right now. So
if you're going to watch them in the morning, are you planning on doing an actual like a live morning emergency like thing when that comes out, or what's your plans on that?
Not an emergency, I would say. I would like to do a live stream. That if they come out on the 30th, when I get out of work, I'll do a live stream. If they come out on the 31st, I'm busy, and I'll probably get some stuff done. I'll get some stuff done after my events during the day, and we'll probably do a live stream over that weekend. But as far as the podcast episode, Nathan and I are going to choose our top like 5 from the cards that are spoiled, and then we're going to do a live stream episode to everybody instead of just to channel members on that Tuesday, the 3rd, I believe, of February. We'll be doing that, so it'll be fun.
Well, depending on flexibility and if you're interested in having another person talk through some of this, I'd almost be curious if because I was thinking about doing something live, but I don't know what people's schedules were. You were going to be the person I was going to tap, so we'll talk about that later, I guess.
We will see exactly how wrecked I am after this. If Friday goes well, I get to do some stuff Friday night. I'll bring on whoever.
$50. God, that goblin card is $50.
I know.
It's a common. Jesus. So, all right. See you next time. Have fun. May your games be fun. Friendships grow. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
It's a $50 card.
Yep.
Well, that says Galaxy foil.